Hey, what's up, Control Pro? This is Eric Stromquist. Welcome to Control Talk Now, where we talk about all things HVAC and smart building controls, including sales and marketing. This is episode 418. Listen, I'm really glad you're here. I was out at Realcomm Ibicon last week. Great show. Shot a lot of videos out there. Met a lot of really cool people. I'll be posting those videos coming up in the next couple of weeks. I'm sort of rounded out my coverage of Haystack Connect, so you can find virtually all those videos and interviews on Control Talk Now as we speak. So one of the biggest problems we face as an industry is, man, how do we get more and more qualified people into our industry? And my guest this week has got just an elegant solution. Not only is he and his team bringing fresh new talent into the controls industry, he's also, man, doing a lot of really great stuff for society. So you're going to want to stick around for that. Hey, but before we get to that, let's have a word from our sponsor this week, ABB. So ABB is such a cool company, man. They have so many different products and different product offerings. And most of us know them for variable frequency drives. At least I did. They do a lot of metering, a lot of cool stuff. And obviously the building AI is a really cool product as well. I had a chance to meet Julie Patrone and some of her team at Realcomm Ibicon. Good folks. Be sure to check it out. All right, so there you go, man. We're getting ready to hit third quarter. I don't know what you're thinking marketing budget-wise, but if you've got a new product launch, or maybe you just want to give your brand a little bit of a boost, Control Trends has all kinds of great marketing opportunities now. Whether or not it's sponsoring a commercial, sponsoring one of our newsletters, or running some banner ads. We've got all kinds of packages that sort of fit any budget. If you've got the products, I got the platform. I'll leave a link in the show notes. Let's talk. Man, we've been hearing all about how our industry is, the old guys like me are leaving the industry. We don't have enough young people coming in. But my two guests this week, man, they are solving not only that problem, bringing and attracting new people into the building automation controls business, but man, really doing something great for society. So man, it's my pleasure to introduce Mike Conway and Tyler Ng from Stacks Joules. Welcome, guys.
Hey, thanks, Eric. So great to be here. An honor, really.
Oh, right back at you. Right back
super
at
excited,
you. Yeah.
man.
Yeah, I think as I shared earlier that like Control Talk Now has been like an early and often source for my understanding and meeting people and learning a lot about the industry. So I feel like talking to an icon
Well,
here.
I'm hoping Tyler passes the audition because, we're going to need to bring get a younger co-host in here, right?
yeah, I think it'll be a good one.
No pressure. Well, Mike, for people who don't know, tell them what Stacks Joules is all about.
Yeah, sure. So, Stacks Joules is a nonprofit workforce training program for the building automation system industry. We have basically like three technical components. We start with lighting controls and do Python programming, so sort of like an IoT approach to that. And that does result. We have an introduction to lighting control certificate that students earn with that. Then we go into HVAC fundamentals. So that's heat transfer, refrigeration cycle, all the components of systems, and that one culminates in the EPA 608 certification, kind of as a driver of that. And then the third component is system integration, which is really where our focus is. We use the Niagara framework as our sort of training mechanism, but it's a generalist approach. So it's about the connecting to and the interconnection, or I don't know what the word that is, but of the systems. So that's the three technical. Now the fourth, which is really, really key, is our professional skills, which is interwoven throughout and comes from like really robust interaction with industry professionals.
Well, that's awesome. So it sounds like you're not only going to come out of the chute trained, ready to go, a great background. So a building automation controls company could bring them in. They're ready to go. They can, add on to what you've already taught them, but it sounds like they're going to be ready, from a professional standpoint too, and the values that you need to be really successful in business.
Yeah. I would say to that, we're really kind of like a pre-apprentice program. So it's because our focus, and now this is where we're a nonprofit, and we looked at different models coming in, myself and my co-founder John, and decided on a nonprofit because of the mission aspect of it. And our mission specifically is to bring in absolutely new talent, right? Really overlooked talent. We say overlooked and underappreciated talent from overlooked and underappreciated communities, right? So going places where technology companies are just like wouldn't even consider looking there, and then supporting up from there. So almost starting from scratch, and then supporting up into this incredible opportunity in this incredible industry. So yeah, and that's part of like I think what led us to choose this particular industry, because my background is education. I taught high school math for over 20 years, but I always saw like context was a real driver of success for my math programs. So I was always developing projects and connecting the math that they're learning. My co-founder is in technology. He was working for Alphabet for a while on smart cities initiatives and deploying technology in across New York City and in retail environments. And so we were looking at these opportunities. I guess the other thing I should mention is John, my co-founder, and I, we've been best friends since second grade.
Okay, all right. You guys grew up in New York, or where did you guys grow up?
We grew up in Massachusetts.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
All right. Cool. So you guys were buddies back in the day, and probably troublemakers, I'm guessing. What do you think, Tyler? He looks like a reformed troublemaker to me.
We had some fun. I'm one of 8. I have 7 brothers and sisters.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
And I'm right in the middle, 5th. So I tend to get along with everybody. And John is an only child, so he loved being at my house for the chaos of it, and I love being over there because you're like, oh my God, you're not like pestered and your toys aren't broken.
Okay. Well, now, so let me ask you something. So, here you guys are, two gangsters from the early days. You guys kind of grew up. You become a math teacher. I mean, obviously, you guys are looking around at the world and you're thinking you mentioned the word context, a bigger context.
Yeah.
Because it really seemed like, you created like a win-win-win scenario on multiple levels, which, so what kind of gave you guys the idea to go inner city, for example, to bring people out for technology?
Yeah, it was in my role as an educator, looking for opportunity. It's one of the reasons why I went into math education, is I saw that as a doorway to opportunity. Like if you can get someone to be successful at math, it tends to like give them a boost up. Mm-hmm. Though I was starting to see with a good number, some of the schools I started to work with, that even that wasn't ending up being enough. And I saw that the more you could link to directly, like high value, immediately applicable technical skills, that leads to a well-paying job and stability, and that is the driver of extending a career. So yes. What I didn't want to see is my students that I'd get successful in math and then into post-secondary programs, and then they take on debt, and that debt catches up with them, and they can't afford, and so now they're in this terrible situation of not having the degree and carrying debt, so they're stuck in low-wage jobs with debt. That's not a good solution. So that's where I was starting to like have that the questioning my role in education, and I've always been one to be like, okay, what's the next thing? So I think that was pushing me too. So this all kind of came together there, right? Is looking for opportunity, creating projects. John's helping me through his tech, connections. Always looking for the next connection. I started off, in the 2012s, there was a big green jobs boom. But a lot of those jobs were like community gardens and white rooftops and things like that are great. They're great opportunities and can have some learning. They don't necessarily lead to well-paying, career advancing jobs, right? Upwardly mobile jobs. And so it was looking for that, and the building automation just sits right at the middle there, right?
Yeah.
It's this combination of like mechanical. So the mechanical means it's place-based. It can't all of it cannot be outsourced.
Yes.
There's going to have to be, even with AI and everything else, people are dreaming that this is going to do away with the human element. It's going to shift the human element significantly, but you're still going to need people going in there and replacing sensors, updating software, doing some of that on hands work. So that was important. We wanted it to be stable and future proof as much as possible. We wanted it to pay well, and we know because the industry can't find this type of talent with that combination of mechanical and technology. And it's not just this industry, right? It's every single industry right now is undergoing this shift. So you can look at farming, and there is so much alignment between the skills needed by a BAS technician and the skills of a modern farmer.
Interesting.
So
wow.
That's just my point. I mean, look at warehouse manager. It's packed with technology. Look at pretty much any role, like a cashier at a grocery store, because they're more and more they're the self-checkout. So what does that person look like? They're coming in to service those machines and we see how often you step up and when there's one that's not working. Right. And those skills are, I mean, think about it. It's like, it's IT, it's the connecting those machines to a network. There's some physical scanners, and it's picking up the data and then checking its weight. So my point is we know it's a high need in this industry. It's a high need across the economy. So
but Mike, we're not going to allow you to send people to any other industry. You're ours.
Yeah, no.
You belong to our industry.
This one. This is
I've got some more questions for you for sure. This is really a great story, but I want to shift over to you, Tyler, just for a minute and tell us a little about your story. So, walk us through your background and how you wound up meeting this character here and what it's been like.
Yeah, I want to piggyback off of what Mike was saying about the opportunities that Stacks Joules has provided. Being I was in school at one point. But I decided that maybe that wasn't really what I wanted to do. I was learning about environmental science and urban sustainability, but I felt like the local politics aspect wasn't really something that was more fitting for me. And so I feel like that the hands-on experience that Stacks and Joules and I guess pretty much the entire industry of building automation as a whole provides is something that really interested me. That I was really interested in, and really stood out to me. I feel like is a good balance between software technology as well as hands-on and the human skills that a lot of AI may not be able to replace, as we were talking about. But I was in school at one point, and I had a choice to go back to school or pursue a career in the building automation. I decided to pursue that career and take this path. All thanks to Stacks and Joules, the opportunities that Stacks and Joules has provided me. I can't state anymore how grateful I am to the program and everything Mike has given me. It's truly life-changing experience in being able to have this exposure and going into this pretty much uncharted field for me.
Well, nice. And now you've been out and working for an integrator now for what, did you say a couple of years now?
Yeah, so I graduated from the Stacks and Joules program about 2 years ago. And, there was a little bit of time in between. I was applying to different employers. But eventually, I think it was last year as of March, April, the tech systems or total energy control systems decided to pick me up, and they offered me the wonderful opportunity to work for a wonderful service department. And so now I'm working full time as a service technician, servicing as a lead tech for multiple sites throughout the city, going from pretty much having no experience at the beginning of the program to now being pretty much a technician and shadowing all those different other technicians with tremendous amount of skill sets and their knowledge, and being able to have them share that to me and pass it on is definitely a cool and
What's
experience.
There's a lot packed in there that I know that's not there, so I definitely want to draw some of that out,
Sure.
Tyler, because I think, well, I mean, if it's not too forward to ask, like I think you're still paying off some student loans. Is that right?
Yeah, again, going off of that student loans thing, I feel like it's, in this field, it's whether or not you can prove you can have the ability to want to learn, the desire to learn, and want to show your worth in terms of having the desire to learn. That's I feel like that was a more valuable thing to me, rather than going to school and learning, reading books and studying and passing tests. Going to a field where it may have been even more difficult to find a job in. But I feel like the opportunity of the building automation industry was more worth it to me, rather than the taking loans and going to school and pursuing something that I may not have been sure would have been turned out great. So,
and then in the experience, like for Stacks and Joules, we actually don't have any. We don't do any like. There's no prerequisites. We don't do testing when they come in, right? We have a very open policy. We do an interview where we're just checking for interest and commitment. Can you commit to the full length, which is 12 weeks, 180 hours, 4 hours a day, 4 days a week? Tyler did an evening one, so many were coming out of work and then into that program. So it's intensive. So that's we and that goes to our nonprofit mission again, right? It's like we want to kind of root out that unexpected talent, overlooked talent, and definitely Tyler matched that. I mean, a whiz with computers. I believe you're a gamer.
I am. That's correct.
Yeah.
Nice,
I remember those conversations between you and Kay. You sat with Kay, right? And talking about games, and so able to use a laptop. I don't know. Have you built your own computers?
Yeah,
or you've upgraded?
funny thing, I recently built my own computer, and as you're talking about, there's definitely is a lot of parallels between the technology and video games, and it's one reason why I am really interested in technology as a whole, and ultimately smart buildings.
Yeah. So when you for us, we are training ourselves to see a different set of indicators for possible success. And so when we see someone who's interested in gaming and just a real that has I don't know what term there what term would you use there, Tyler? A gamer?
Gamer, yeah.
Yeah, all right.
It's a technical term.
Us old heads need some help. But yeah,
Nice.
So that now we see that's an indicator. We have a lot of examples of that then really dig into the coding. That's why we start off with Python, as it's an engagement tool, right? We're not grinding terms and memorizing all of that at the beginning. We do get to that. I mean, because they have to pass that EPA 608, and that is not it's a rigorous assessment. Takes a grind, but we start off with Python stuff. I think another point is after the program, and you kind of glossed over that a little bit, Tyler, because that wasn't an easy period for you, was it?
Yeah, I send my resume out to numerous employers trying to get recruited, but eventually Tech Systems came through and gave me the opportunity. But it was definitely a few months of failure after failure. But persistence is it's key in this field, especially if you want to succeed. So
yeah, and that's an element of what we do too. Is like we were super involved throughout that, like working on the resume, updating it, doing interview prep, finding the opportunities, and it was a learning. I mean, Tyler was from our first adult cohort. So, and I was surprised because I saw like this guy's a whiz. Like I knew that as soon as we could just get his foot in the door, that they're going to see his value and they're going to, and it's proven out. I mean, you can see where he is now, but we just it didn't show on his resume, right? He had started college and then stopped. He didn't have an extensive work history.
Right? I got to interrupt real quick, Mike and Tyler, and just tell you something, because I interview a lot of people, and I had a company for a long time, and somebody else is running it for me now. But Tyler, what impressed me was when somebody came in, because if you can't get educated vis-a-vis YouTube right now, or there's so many avenues to do that. So I was much more impressed with somebody who maybe couldn't afford to go to school or didn't go to school, but had taught themselves, right? I knew I could work with that. So, Mike, you can speak to that, but to me, that is, especially in this day and age, that's the most important quality to have. If you're willing to learn, my guess is even if, Tyler didn't have the tech background that he had right off the bat, but if he had the desire to learn, I guess this is a question for you, Mike, there's still a place for people in your program. If we got younger people that are listening and go, well, I'm not a gamer or whatever. But what I'm hearing you say, if you're willing to learn, you guys could probably work with them and get them on the right path. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And I don't know. Had you done any Python programming, Tyler?
Yeah. After our cohort and troubleshooting with Python, I moved on to there's this program that I think you guys told us about, Coursera Online.
Yeah. How about before?
Before that, I didn't know much programming at all. But
that's my point. Is like Tyler, he played games, he used computers, but he wasn't a technologist. Yeah. He was a user, and we're trying to shift them over from being a user to a creator. And
Mike, that's so encouraging. I can imagine being, a younger person and maybe going, what am I going to do? And to hear that you've got this program and people like Tyler, has gone through it so he can attest to the fact that it works. It's just, it's such a positive. Mike, how many cities are you guys in right now?
We're just in New York. Yeah, we're just in New York, and really concentrated in the Lower East Side, although our students do come from across all 5 boroughs.
Okay.
But we are on the verge of expansion. We're really digging into reviewing different what will be the second city, and then beyond that, kind of cities 3 through 6.
Gosh, I would just think, given the network of distributors and integrators in all the cities, I'm almost just, I'm thinking that, I probably know, integrators here, and we'd probably want to get involved in Atlanta, for instance. Okay, how could we facilitate this? Because it seems like the sooner that happens, the sooner, our labor shortage in our industry sort of gets taken care of. And it's also, doing a good thing, right, for society.
Yeah. Yeah, it's. I think you said it earlier, right? Is like we really looked for this opportunity where all this is coming together, so that it's not just charity, right? We're providing like awesome people to the industry.
Yeah.
Like
if Tyler's an example, I get it. I totally
real value.
Get it. So,
he's creating value for Tech Systems, big, and for those buildings that he's working in, right? He's saving value. So that's a win, and it's raising up these communities too. So.
That's so cool. We're going to cook up a plan. So for our listeners out there, please reach out in comments. If you got some ideas, if you're interested in being involved, man, let us know, because I think what Mike and his team are doing is absolutely great. And I want to shift back to you again, Tyler, too, because, it seems like what I hear from a lot of the younger people is they really want to make a difference, vis-a-vis society, vis-a-vis sustainability, saving energy, and so on and so forth. And, I've always thought it's such a great value prop for younger people that want to make a difference, because I don't know of any other industry where you can go in and you can speak to this, where you can go in and, you're having cocktails with your friends afterwards. What did you do today? Well, I wrote a new app for Google. Well, I was doing data analysis in Silicon Valley in a cubicle. Well, what did you do, Tyler? Well, I saved, 300,000 trees today by reducing the carbon emission in this building by this. And I went over here and then improved the air quality in this building, and I went over here. I mean, it's one of the few industries where you can actually pull your app out and say, this is how much energy I saved on the planet today, right? I mean, is that something that sort of factors into you liking being in this industry?
Yeah, I mean, I think going off of what I was troubleshooting even yesterday, working on scheduling for one of my buildings. The air handler system had a schedule that wasn't working. Getting that running again, and having that affect the energy usage and being able to save that. I think that's an interesting and really powerful part of the whole building as a whole, and really the role that building automation plays is key in that aspect. So.
Well, and I gotta say, I think it's a pretty recession-proof business. I've been in the business long enough to go through a couple of pretty bad recessions, and business slows down. But the commonality is people are always looking for good techs. I mean, that just never goes away. I mean, you read about Silicon Valley; they're laying hundreds of thousands of people off because they're not selling enough iPhones or whatever, and you just don't hear that in our industry. So, I'm partially advocating for the industry, right? Because I think younger people, I think it's one of the best kept secrets out there that man, you can come do this. And I mean, how boring is it? Do you do the same thing every day, or every day is different, right?
Yeah, of course. Different problems, different solutions. Multiple solutions for the same problem. It's interesting because you get to go to different places, different buildings, different sites. They all have their own systems and unique situations and dilemmas. So being able to have different solutions and see different ways to solve different solutions is, I feel like is what's interesting for me, because, being stuck in one same place and doing the same thing over again probably is not something I'd find something interesting.
Taro was just thinking, the ultimate game for a gamer is to solve the world's carbon problem, right? I mean,
it really is a game.
It's a real game. It's not a virtual game, but it's kind of the same sort of thing, right? You got to figure these things out. You got to solve these problems. So it's so cool.
Yeah. But, and this wasn't really an issue with Tyler. He, from the very start, had this learning drive, and so it would seemed to love that aspect of it, which it was just a real strength. But it is something in Stacks and Joules that we consider really carefully, because something that does turn off, especially those who haven't engaged with technology or technical learning, is you're always encountering frustration, and I think a typical schooling environment, which is more focused on, be quiet and try to absorb and then spit out, is you're not really engaging in and really celebrating that process of always moving into the next thing that you don't know. And you have to be comfortable with that. You've got to be comfortable with it.
I know now why they didn't let you teach anymmo, because man, that's the ultimate of learning, though, man. I applaud it. I completely agree. But oh my gosh, most education systems destroy that in people, right? That thirst for knowledge. So,
and that's the very thing that we need, especially right now. That's why our workforce issues are what they are. The work is not getting in there and doing stuff that you know how to do, especially in buildings, because as Tyler said, right, every single building is different. A different tech comes in and could set things up differently in the same building. So it's a constant problem solving, and this is the other thing why we really focused in on this. That means that Tyler's development, extra training. So that's a question I have for you, Tyler, is what extra training since you were hired by Tech Systems have you been engaged in?
Going off of that self-learning that we were talking about, Google University, YouTube University, a lot of podcasts, a lot of YouTube videos, instructionals. I'm pretty much always watching instructionals for everything I want to learn. So I feel like YouTube and internet's good with that, and especially with ChatGPT now, things will be a lot easier to try to source your information and learn. So.
Yeah. Have you had any other like formal trainings from tech or?
Yeah, of course. I guess, being on my own and shadowing technicians is a big part of the learning experience. We're sort of hitting the ground running, but also you're seeing things in person and solving things live. There's always deadlines and timelines, and you have to be able to solve things by the end of the day. But having that pressure, I feel like is a good way to help you learn. And of course, a lot of in-house trainings with a lot of our Automatrix, Honeywell product lines, and all of that software and technology.
Well, it's very cool. But a game without pressure isn't a game, right, Tyler?
Yep.
You gotta have the pressure.
Those sweaty situations. That's where you always thrive and succeed. So.
Yeah.
Well, man, I'm so glad we got you in the industry, Tyler. I really am. And Mike, man, congrats, man, on everything you're doing.
Eric. Yeah.
Well, guys, listen, for our community out there, Mike, I, for one, have supported these guys. We'll continue to support these guys.
Yes.
I mean, you're nonprofit, so let's get our wallets out. Let's support this program. Mike, how do people support what's going on, what you guys got going on up there?
Yep. So you can go to our website, stacksandjoules.org.
Okay.
All spelled out, Joules, the unit of energy.
And I'll put a link in the show notes for everybody.
Awesome. Yeah. And there's a donate tab up at the far right, and it takes you PayPal, or you can contact me directly, and I'm happy to have a conversation with you and share whatever documentation, share our successful numbers. We've placed over 180 into internships and jobs in the New York City BAS market. Average starting salary or wage is $28. I think to date, we haven't had anyone who was hired into that full-time technician role. None of them have transferred, right? So this is a very loyal and stable workforce. Loyalty is a value that they bring. I mean, you can hear how much Tyler appreciates the opportunity, and he has a real loyalty to Tech Systems and the team and what they've invested in them.
Oh, this is awesome. And again, for our community out there, please reach out in comments or reach out to Mike too. I think you probably would be willing to entertain conversations if somebody calls from a city and goes, how can we set one of these up in our city?
Yes.
You guys kind of got the blueprint and could walk them through it. Is that a fair statement?
Absolutely. We're
fully
into that.
And
then also, and this goes to, thank you so much for your generous contribution in allowing us to we're bringing 5 of our current students to RealComm in June in Vegas.
Nice.
And so really look forward to introducing them to you and the whole community. And then also our whole team, which is only 4 right now. It's myself, John, and then Fran and Diana are our trainers. So we'll all be there at RealComm. Really looking forward to it, and really appreciate it.
I'll be there too. And I'll have the camera. We'll get the camera. We'll get the cameras out. We'll introduce the crew to the Control Trends community. How about that?
That is awesome. Yeah, really have some great talent.
Now, Tyler, is it true that Mike, being a math teacher, he's taught you guys how to count cards, and also you guys will be cleaning up at the casinos while you're out there? Is that part of the curriculum?
Of course.
Nice.
You
guys, thank you so much, Tyler, Mike. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And we'll look forward to tracking your guys' journey. So thanks very much.
Thanks for this opportunity.
Thanks for
it's been a
having
pleasure,
me.
Tyler.
Cool.
Super proud of you, man.
So that's another week on Control Talk Now, the Smart Buildings videocast and podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Until then, remember, be bold, stay in control, stay relevant. And as Hunter Thompson used to say, buy the ticket, take the ride.